Ooh, this video is all about wiring. I still have a lot of unfinished business in that department. Electronics and gadgets and stuff. I'm gonna start back here and kind of work my way towards the front. First thing I'm gonna do is I have to relocate my license plate because it's obstructed, you know. That'll probably get me pulled over. I was gonna put it on a cargo carrier. That was originally the plan. They make those with license plate brackets on them and stuff, but instead I'm gonna mount it to this door. I have a license plate bracket with a light in it. It's just a pretty basic thing, you know. It is an LED bulb, but it's kind of like an old school design. They had a lot fancier, nicer, more modern looking ones, but they were all like, oh, this is super, super bright. And I don't want my license plate visible from outer space. I just need it to be legal. So this thing is gonna just go like right there or whatever. And I'll just run the wires from the existing license plate light up to that. I could probably have relocated that light and stuff, but I mean, 14-year-old incandescent bulb, or spend like literally $8 on Amazon for that guy. And then up here, you can't see it in this shot, but right below the third brake light, the high mount brake light, I'm going to put the backup camera that came with my stereo on my dash, and the wire probably won't reach all the way, which is fine. I'll just extend it. I think it's literally just like an RCA, but I'm gonna run that wire under the van. I've decided that'd be the way to go. So I'm gonna do those two things back here, and then I'm gonna move inside the van, and I've got a whole lot to do in there. And then finally, after that, we're gonna end up in the front, and I have just a whole mess of like gadgets that I need to install in this van. A lot of it's unnecessary, but it's also, a lot of it's pretty cool. So this is gonna be kind of a fun video. All right, that license plate frame thing's a piece of crap. You get what you pay for. One of the screws snapped off, so I ended up using Tex. I'm gonna put this tiny little reverse camera up at my third brake light, pointing kind of down. The way these work is you power it off of your reverse tail light bulb. And then on the front of this long wire, which is probably not long enough, definitely not long enough, you have your RCA, and then it carries the positive from back here up to here. You connect this to, I think, the pink wire coming out of the stereo, and that tells the stereo to put it into camera mode when you put the vehicle in reverse. So I'm gonna wire it all up the way it's supposed to be, but I will definitely have to extend this. I just I have RCAs from hooking up subs and crap for people. And then just a single, like a, you know, whatever. I'm gonna run it over to the side, then down this channel to the reverse light, and then I'm gonna go under the van, just along the frame or something, all the way up to the dash. I might come up through the floor where I put that conduit under my passenger seat. That might be the easiest thing to do, but pretty straightforward, but this is gonna be very time consuming, so probably take me the rest of the afternoon, but it's, I think, worth it. The side mirrors are pretty damn good for everything, but you know, I have the camera, it came with the stereo, I'm gonna use it. I tied a 1 ounce river weight to this to get it from up in the cabinet down the channel here. This is the wiring for the reverse light. I got it tied in up there. And then this I need to continue on under the van towards the front. I got the wire from the camera, ran all the way down and out and under the van. And then I accidentally ripped the end of it off. But that's okay, because it wasn't long enough. So instead of having to get an RCA coupler, I just took this other one that I got, which is like a extension cord for a backup camera, and cut the end off of that. So now I'm soldering them together. These are like 26 gauge wires. I've got my super tiny gauge Radio Shack solder, and I've got my really nice Solomon soldering iron that I've had since I was like 12. Doesn't take much. And I'm just gonna tape the crap out of this when I'm done. I've got the good stuff here. There. 2 is now 1. Alright, that was a pain in the butt because I built out my whole van already. I had to actually look at one of my old videos so I could tell exactly where to drill holes, because I had to get the wire from where I put that backup camera through the wall in one cabinet and then down the wall in the corner behind another cabinet down to the tail light, and then through the bottom of the van and then run it along the chassis all the way up. And I have it coming up in the cab with the conduit with all my other wires under the where the passenger seat goes. So that's done. The next thing I'm gonna do is the other like hard annoying part, and laying under the van I have to wire up my gray tank heater. I'm just gonna run the wires over across the van and then have that come up by my power system at the other end of that conduit. So I'm just reusing the same holes I already drilled in my van, so I'm not making more holes in the floor than I have to. I'm just gonna get that done. I got some split loom now, and I'm gonna wrap, because it has to go over the exhaust a little ways. I'm gonna wrap it with, I just have some like Kevlar header wrap. I actually went to O'Reilly earlier and was looking for like some sort of actual heat shield for wiring and couldn't find any, but I'll just make do with what I got. I'll get that done, and then we'll move on to something more exciting and less hard on the inside. Gonna wire up my network. So I've just had this kind of wrapped up over here since I installed it. This is pretty decent wire. I think it's 14 gauge. That's what I'm gonna use. And I'm just going straight across. All right, I'm going to power that with a relay and one of these switches over here. And that concludes the outside stuff for now, which is good. It's pretty hot today. It's 85. And it's 85 in here too, but whatever. It's supposed to storm tonight and cool way down. I hate working with that Kevlar stuff. It's great, but it's like working with fiberglass insulation. I'm super itchy now. But what I got going on here is all kinds of gadgets and goodies. I have this RV leveling thingy, and thank you, Mary, for gifting me this. It's super cool. All you do is it has two pieces to it. It's got a dash display and then the actual sensor. And what you do is you mount the sensor somewhere in your van or RV on the wall, and you basically charge it with the USB, and then you calibrate it. So you really don't even have to mount this thing level. I'm gonna measure it nice and get it pretty level. But you just mount this somewhere, like on the wall, and then it just wirelessly talks to the display module, which is pretty sweet. It's this nice little, cool little thing. I'm gonna mount it to the top of my dash, and basically you can level your van as you're parking without having to get out and go read like levels, bubble levels and stuff anywhere, you know. Pretty awesome. I'm gonna mount this thing down there kind of by the door as you walk in, because it is USB rechargeable. It's got a USB-C right on the top, so I can just charge it up off of my chargers over here. So thank you, Mary, for purchasing that for me. It was on my Amazon wish list. So over here I've got a bunch of stuff I gotta do still. I have the Starlink router. Thank you, Tony, for gifting me the Starlink equipment. Huge thanks to Tony. This is like $500 purchase, and I'm very grateful for you for that. It's a funky shape. Look at this thing. It's definitely designed to just be set on something, and I intend on putting it back here in the power system area. And they make like funky mounts for it, or I could go get some L brackets and give it its own little shelf. It has these fancy little, you know, LED display on the front. Looks like a satellite orbiting. It's made, you know, that's your indicator to tell you if you're connected or not. But what I'm gonna do is basically Velcro it to the wall like that, because that's the only way it's gonna actually work out for me, and I'll just not get to look at my fancy LEDs, but I don't care. So that's gonna go on the wall like right here behind this. I'll show you after I mount everything. Now the Starlink, this thing's kind of a power hog, and what I went ahead and got is this. This is a DC 12 volt to 57 volt, basically a up converter, like a boost transformer. So I can power the Starlink right off 12 volts. So I can have my network on without my inverter on. And I'm gonna mount this back here too. And I also have a 12 volt power supply for my camera server. And then I just bought it, and I had to get it on eBay. So it won't be here, you know, till after I'm done making this video. But I have another one of these that's a 48 volt one for my network switch, because that's PoE, and that's what powers my cameras that I haven't installed yet. But I have that coming as well. And then for all of these things, I have a tiny little, because I only have 2 spots left on my fuse block down below, and I'm about to use them up, because one for the tank heater and one for all the dash accessories up in the cab. But I have another little fuse block, same brand and everything as the one I have down below, but this is like a little 6-position one. So I'm going to mount this back here and run it right off the bus bars. And then the Starlink, I am putting it on a switch. Now this is a 57 volt 4.5 amp converter, and if you calculate it down to 12 volts, it's going to pull 21.38 amps. 21.38 amps, which is just a little more than these little toggle switches can handle. So the Starlink I'm going to be running off of a relay, but I do want an option to turn the Starlink on or off, because, well, without having to like open this up and unplug it, because it's, you know, it is kind of a power hog. So if I'm like hurting for power, I can just kill the internet basically. So I'm going to get all of this mounted and show you how I'm going to wire it up here, but that's what I got going on here. And then my RV leveler I'm just going to mount down below. I'll show you that. Alright, so here I got Starlink velcroed to the wall backwards, and then right here I've got my fuse block. I still need to run the ground. I didn't have a piece of wire long enough, but it's going to go from here to there. This is 8 gauge overkill, of course. And then here I have the power converter for the Starlink, and it's running on a relay. And then I have this trigger wire running over to a switch for that. And then here I have the power supply for my camera server. I still need to make some Ethernet cables for everything. And I need to get my power converter, which is going to go right here, for my network switch. And I ran the Starlink cable up to the cabinet. It's just a huge wad of cable in there. That's going to go up to the roof where the solar comes in when I install the Starlink dish here in a few days. But now I'm going to work on wiring the cab. Now I need to get my fridge and all that contraption out of there and tear the dash apart. Alright, so here I've got my fridge, my backup camera with a ridiculous amount of extra wire now. Hopefully it still works, because that's a pretty long run for how thin that wire was. This is for my DC to DC, and then this is for my accessories up on the dash, which I'm going to be wiring up today. And then this is for my AC outlets for the dash. Totally unnecessary, but I had a extra breaker in my breaker panel, so, you know, hey, why not? I have my fridge plugged in over here because it came with an AC adapter. Okay, so here on the dash we've got all these little pop-out panels. They just come right out, and I intend on filling all of them with stuff. See, they just pop out. And we've got 2 factory, like 12-volt outlets. I'm going to leave those. And then right next door to them on each side, I'm going to put a USB, USB and USB-C charger. So we'll have DC outlet and then charger. Then to the left of the charger, I've got a 4-pack. I'll probably only do 2 because 4 is a little excessive. But I have, these are called panel mount, like 120 volt AC outlets. So DC outlet, USB charger, AC outlet on each side. And on this side, these are going to run off of the van battery. And on this side, these are going to run off of the house batteries. And then I have a whole bunch of, I think a 6-pack, and I probably won't use all 6, but I just have rocker switches for various things. And what I think I'll do is I'll switch these USB outlets so there's no parasitic draw on my van battery. But I'll just kind of work out the configuration here, but basically that's all I'm doing down here is just a bunch of outlets and accessories. So on this side, the main thing for this USB is for the cat's water fountain. And then, whatever else I want to plug into that. This outlet here is going to be for my Surface Pro, which is really unnecessary, but I have it, and I think it would be cool to have it in the cab. I can do lots of neat things with that. I got a OBD2 like Bluetooth interface for the van, so I could have a big digital dashboard down here that shows me all the things that the van doesn't show me. I can look at like transmission temp and line pressures. I could have a tach, which the van has a tach, but you have to like select that. And I just would rather keep that on like odometer. I can do alternator load, so I can see like if I have the DC to DC charger going and headlights or AC or whatever, I can see if I'm like pulling too high of a draw off my alternator, stuff like that. I can just have a big OBD dash, or I can remote into my camera server and have like front and rear basically dash cam going while I drive as well. So, or navigation, but I'll probably do that with the stereo. That was kind of the whole point of that stereo, really. And then just to the right of the stereo and the climate control, this space right here used to have a bunch of dummy stickers from U-Haul. I got, if I can find it here, just a tiny little bracket. It has mounting tape and screws, but this little bracket I'm going to put here for a handheld radio. I just have, this is just a Uniden Bearcat. You can get much nicer things, but this is just a scanner radio. But because I have it, I think it would be kind of neat to just mount that to the dash too. Just to have, you know. It does all the municipal frequencies, so weather, radio, emergency, fire, police, rail, stuff like that. You know, you can also get little handheld like ham radios and CBs and stuff like that, but I'm gonna mount that here just because it's neat. I like gadgets, it's fun. So I'm gonna get all this installed, basically a drill for these round things, and then for these rocker switches and these outlets, I'll probably use the Dremel because I gotta make square holes. This bumper actually came with a light kit. It was an option and I didn't get that option, but then I last minute decided to get these lights. These are fog lights and they're pretty low quality. My friend Tom actually used his lathe to make mounts for them. They're tapped and they're actual pretty professionally done. But the reason I picked these lights, they were from Amazon, they were like 40 bucks for a 4-pack, is because they do white and amber. And you want amber for fog lights because like the water vapor doesn't reflect off of amber light and you can see. But they actually come with this fancy little controller and they do all kinds of stuff apparently. You can do white, amber, you can do like a strobe light feature, you can like have 2 of them be white and 2 of them be amber, and it's kind of neat. But they come with this like multi-control dual button little switch here, and it's just like a peel and stick, put it on your dash somewhere. So I was thinking kind of right here, right below the tow haul button, I might just stick them on right there. Might look pretty decent, and then I just have to make a tiny little hole for the wire to go through, which I might actually have the wire go like down and into one of these little panels so I don't have a permanent hole in my dash, because I don't really expect these lights to last forever. But I'll end up probably replacing them with, you know, something similar but higher quality. But it was a last minute decision to get those. I actually bought a 10-pack of off-road spot and floodlights. They're LED, but they're round. They're like kind of a retro style. And I was gonna put them on that roof rack, but then I figured out that my spare tire's so big it overhangs the front of the roof rack so much that I wouldn't really be able to fit lights up there. I still could, but not a full row of them. We'll see if I actually do that or not. If I do, I have the switch for them now, so. I ended up putting that right there. And then I put the wire over here in this little cubby. And I actually super glued the wire to the dash a little bit. And right there, because it was pulling out of there. But so, and then I mounted my radio. I ended up modifying that bracket a little bit just to get it to fit a little better. So this part is done. Alright, I have all of this wired up except for these middle two switches. They're just not used at the moment. They're just there. But I've got it all ready to go back in the van. So here is the fog light lead. And I've labeled everything too. Over here is the AC. And the reason I used black and red wires is because these had the correct style of spade terminal on them for these outlets, the locking kind. I made my own red, white, black, but they were too loose, not safe. But I labeled them. And then I'm using the crap out of these lever wagos because these are awesome and they're like my favorite thing ever right now. I've got the switch on the far right running off of house battery, and that powers this USB charger and this 12-volt outlet. And then the switch on the far left does the same for the other side, but these will run off the van battery. And then I took this switch here and I just pre-wired it to run off the other outlet from the van, the right-hand side constant power from the van. And what I'll do is I've got just a lead coming off of it, and this will be to trigger a relay for if I want to add off-road lights at some point, which I might do. We'll see. I will for sure eventually, but we'll see if I do that within the next week and a half. I did some testing on these rocker switches because there's quite a bit going on back here, and it took me a second to figure out how they work. I ended up powering them up with my power supply and then using my meter to test things, but there's two LEDs in these. There's a big one up here that you put a label over, or you can put a label over, to that'll turn on when the light is on. And then there's another little LED down here, and there's two ways you can wire it. So if you have these on switched power from your vehicle where they only get power when the ignition is on, then you can make it where these little lights down here turn on with the van. Or if you have them on, and then when you turn the switch on, then this big one lights up, and that's your label. Or you can do it the other way, where this one gets power all the time when you turn your van on, so you can always see the label, so you know what the switch does. And then when you turn it on, it'll turn on this little light down here. Or if you have these on constant power, which I do, so you're not draining your battery or having an annoying light on at all times, you can wire it another way, which is how I did here. So you got your grounds jumped. These are both grounds, and these are just the grounds for the two LEDs. And then down here, this is the power coming in, and then this is the power going to your accessory, and then you jump those. So when you turn it on, both LEDs get power, and then the accessory that you're running off of it. So kind of they're pretty deluxe switches. And I like them, actually. They're pretty good. We'll see how long they last. I have one extra, so I had enough space in the dash for 5 switches, and I had 6. So I've got one spare of those, then I have 2 extra 120-volt outlets, but, I'll probably never use these 120-volt outlets, but, they're there. I'm just having fun with this, really, at this point. But this is all pre-wired and ready to put back in the van. And then my next step is to connect all of this crap to the house batteries. I'm also running a trigger switch to the DC to DC charger. I need to wire that up, actually. I'm about to do that now. Alright, that was easy. Looking at my DC to DC charger, you have these 4 ports here. If you jump these 2, that triggers the charger to turn on. And this one is power. And if you jump these 2 right here, it will charge at 20 amps. It's a limiter. So if 40 amps is too much for my alternator to handle, I can put a jumper in there and make it a 20 amp charger, which is sweet. It's the next day and it's evening time. I got the cab completely tore apart. I'm running all the wiring that I need to run through the dash and into the engine bay for the lights, the battery charger, and whatever. And I'm also prepping the floor for carpet. I'm going to clean it all up. I got to touch up a little paint down there and get it ready for a carpet pad. And I got just a cheap area rug. That's actually more of an automotive style carpet that's going to match everything in here. I hooked up my backup camera. It works. Naturally, it was upside down. I fixed that. I just noticed in the corner of the cab, if you can see that, there's so I'm gonna clean that up and hit it with some quad. I also need to do a little touch up right there. So that's what I'm working on now. And I'm gonna get everything just ran through there, and then I'll get my dash put back together, and then I can work on getting some carpet going on. I'm also gonna clean, kind of wire brush and touch up right there, just where the doghouse sits there. So that's what I'm doing today. Alright, over here on the driver's side I have a fish tape running through the main grommet for the van wires. Can't really see it down there, but and then attached to it I have the wire for the harness for the fog lights. I've got two 16 gauge just primary wires that I can use in the future for accessories, you know, lights or whatever. And then I also have my 180 decibel siren for my alarm. I'm going to pull those through that. And then on the passenger side, it's kind of tricky. This is the side that I want to run my battery cable for the DC to DC, but you have the climate control blocking everything. So what I'm going to do is down here, down there, I'm going to have to drill a hole in the van and get a grommet for that and run my two 4 gauge battery cables through for over here, because the battery's on this side. Alright, in order to stay away from my brake pedal and all of that, I ended up going up and over the bracket for that, and then over the steering column, and then I have it up here where the wire for my like cigarette lighter thing and stuff was. So that's all good to go. After all of that, pulling that through everything, just now at the very end, as I was pulling the electrical tape off, I ripped the frickin' plug off of the end of my wire for the fog lights. So that's stupid. It's only 4 wires. I'm just gonna connect them when I go to put the dash on. I'll just rip the other side off and whatever. And then yeah, and then these, it's 2 wires, but I just took the remainder of what I had on a roll and looped it to make them equal lengths. But they're just ran up for, again, just for future accessories. I have extra switches on my dash, and I just kind of got them tied up right here for now. And then I got the wires for the fog lights behind the grill right now, and I have them coming out both sides, so I can wire those up, and then I can mount the relay somewhere in here with a tech screw, and then run a black and red over to the battery side. Alright, it's dusk, so you won't really be able to see what I'm doing, but I'm about to install this back in the van and hook all of this up. Alright, I got everything caulked and painted. And my van is full of bugs now because it's dark and I've had the lights on in here. So now I'm going to shut the lights off in here and turn on a bright light on the outside of the van. See if I can't get them out of here. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Alright, I've got these two grommets from a cheap subwoofer amp kit. I'm going to drill a hole, 2 holes in the van for the DC to DC 4-gauge wire. Alright, here's where I'm at. I got all the wires ran. This is where the charger's going. It's going to go basically above the carpet. Pretty sure in the manual for this it says to mount it on a wall, not flat, but that's where it's going to go. And I've got all the wires ran. I just siliconed all of that. I got to let that cure before I touch these at all. I got the cab floor all painted and caulked and fixed, you know, everywhere. Super professional job there. Yeah. There was like rivets here for, there used to be like a emergency roadside breakdown kit, and they just riveted it to the floor. So I left them there instead of like hammering them out and making more holes in the floor. I won't even feel them bumps after I put the carpet and the carpet pad and stuff on there. I got a few more things to button up in here, and then everything as far as wiring in the cab is done, and then I'm going to move on to the front up by the battery under the hood, and then I have a bunch of stuff to button up at the back in the power system, but I'm going to wait until I'm done with the cab to do that. I need to redo my headliner and carpet the floor, and then I can start putting all this back together. Alright, I got the dash all back together. All the wiring in the cab is done. That was a ton of work. So everything should work. We've got Sasquatch, Monkey, Biohazard, Spy, and Alien. I'm definitely gonna remember what all that means. Before I finish the wiring under hood, I need to finish the cab. Before I do the carpet, I need to do something about this headliner because, oops, I've decided the easiest thing to do here, what I'm going to attempt to do anyway, is I'm going to get some foil tape up against the actual cab roof back in here, and then I'm going to fill this with spray foam and then try to cut it and shape it somehow, and also install the C-pillar trim that goes up to it. You can kind of see where it goes, but just so I can figure out how to contour that. And then after I get that figured out and it somehow works miraculously, then I will take the headliner down and reupholster it. I just have like a fleece throw blanket that I'm going to put on there. So, and then I'll do carpet pad and carpet and reinstall the doghouse and all the trim and everything, and then finish the wiring up under hood. Alright, so the big idea here is that the foil tape will keep the foam from sticking to the van itself. And if you look at the headliner, foam is all that really is in there. I'm sure that this shape, which is not very, like, you know, utilizing all the space of the van, could be a lot roomier, but I'm sure that's for side curtain airbags, you know. If maybe this was a passenger van or something, it probably would have had that. But the idea is to fill that with spray foam and let that set up, and then I can try to trim it with a knife and get whatever shape I want out of it, and then I'll attempt to take it all down in one piece, if that's even gonna work, and glue new fabric over it. We'll see. But yeah, it's the best I got, honestly. And putting this trim back on, the idea there is it'll hold the headliner up so the foam won't push it down too much, you know. We're just experimenting here. And I could have saved myself from doing any of this if I noticed what shape the headliner actually was before I cut out the box, or even just left the headliner installed while I cut out the box. If I ever were to build one of these again, then I would know, but that's probably never going to happen. Anyway, these lights are stupid. I regret buying them. They do white, amber together, white or amber. Then they have white strobe, amber strobe, white and amber strobe. I just wanted amber. Like that. That's a good fog light right there. Anyway, I'm wiring these up while the foam does its stuff. There's 4 of them, but the harness only gives you leads for 2 sides, but that's fine. Crappiest lights ever. Look, already rusting. Super awesome quality here, but what I did do is, because I just temporarily installed them with regular bolts, but that makes it hard to adjust them the way I mounted them to the bumper. So now I've got some socket cap screws, so I'm going to install them with those and some blue Loctite. Alright, I cleaned up my mess like I said I would. That's the best I can do, though. You know, I tried to map out the electrical system before I started, but you just keep adding circuits until you got a pile of stuff going on. But you know, it's clean. It's cleaned up enough. I used 11 out of the 12 circuits on this fuse block, and 4 of my 5 relays that I bought. I got the DC to DC wires just kind of ran up to the bus bars, but not connected yet. But everything else wired up. We are almost done wiring this whole van, finally. This is tedious. It's a lot of work. Well, it's yeah, and it's very time consuming. I've been enjoying it, though, actually. Better than woodwork. And now I can get rid of this and run the cat's water fountain off of this. Alien. What I got here is a hacksaw blade and a utility knife. I'm going to start by just trimming that off flat and then decide if that's all I'm going to do or if I'm going to try to shape this thing. I'm thinking it's not going to be something I can really get too creative with. I'm just going to have to make it look halfway decent. Yeah, I've decided that is going to be good enough. It's going to have a finished look. Obviously that's kind of stupid, having a big old bulge right there, but my other idea was to kind of come in like that and like contour this down. But this is like a fibrous, kind of fiberglassy type of material under this cloth. So if I did that, if I cut this out, I would have to put more foam over it and then like file the foam down to get it to transition, like smooth it out basically. Sort of like a body filler. Otherwise, when I go to put fabric over that, you would see a definite ridge where I cut through this material to get to the foam backing. So what I think I'll do is just basically this. That's it, you know. So I'm going to trim the other side real quick. Real easy to do. Hacksaw blade is definitely the way to go for cutting foam. But the tricky part will be getting this off the ceiling and somehow keeping this attached to the rest of the headliner. If this separates, as long as it comes off in one piece and doesn't just crumble to shreds, I can use the same adhesive that I'm going to use for the cloth to just glue the foam onto the rest of the headliner and get it all kind of in one solid chunk. Okay, things have escalated rather quickly. This side, I went to cut into it and there was a psss, and the foam is actually still uncured. There's a whole pocket of, like, I made it too airtight, I guess, with the foil tape. And then I got into the headliner right away with the hacksaw. And now I'm kind of digging it and thinking this might be possible. And since I have to spray more foam over here anyway, I'm just going to go for it and contour this thing the way that I want. So, yeah, I just told you that's good enough, and it was, but now we're doing this. It's amazing how quickly I can just shift gears, you know. Alright, a second coat of foam I think is going to be required. I got a little too crazy there, and we have like a hole. Got some holes, so this is turning into a much more extensive, complicated process than originally intended, but now it's gonna probably look pretty good when I'm done. So yeah, if you're surprised by this, then you're new here. But alright, I got the headliner out, and over here on the trash cans I ended up drawing a Sharpie line so I could know exactly where to not cut. And the foil tape trick actually worked really good. It enabled me to get the headliner out. And I started messing with my battery cables, and then I ended up spending an hour cleaning my van because messing with this foam in there pretty much destroyed everything. Not this foam, this foam. It was a dusty mess. I ended up having to, like, basically take a leaf blower to my van and then vacuum everything and then wipe everything down. I had to dump out the cat's food and wash the bowl and the water fountain and all that. So to everyone who's built your van while living in it, I salute you. And then I ended up taking a nap for an hour because it's freaking hot, even though it's chronographically it's fall, but not around here it ain't. So now that that's out and I can work on it out here and I know what I'm doing with it, now I can install carpet. Alright, this carpet pad's probably too small, but with the shape of the van, you know, this whole cutout for the doghouse, I should be able to like piece it together up top here. So it should be fine. I'm gonna make it work regardless. So DC to DC is going like right here. So what I'm gonna have to do, I'm gonna have wires come up out of the floor here under the seat. There's gonna be like a cutout for that stuff, and then like right here-ish, I'm gonna have another cutout. That's the plan anyway. We'll see if it's a good one or not. I vacuumed this cab like 19 times and there's still crumbs everywhere. Yeah, this stuff's perfect. It's, you know, automotive style carpet pad. And it's gonna work just fine. Yeah, this is, if you watched my video where I went and bought this and then toured a awesome hot rod museum. If not, you should watch that video because it's a good one. So, I'm just gonna use a knife and make holes where I can make holes pretty much. With the pad, I don't need to be super perfecto with it, but of course with the carpet I do. It's gonna be nice having carpet in here. It's like, it's been a long time that it's been just a bare metal floor, you know? If I just stab the bolts through, that works. That works pretty damn good, and that's what's gonna hold it kind of in place here for me. I'll throw the extras out for the birds to build nests with, even though it's fall. All right, yeah. I'm gonna move to the other side and get those holes and stuff poked through, kind of get it all positioned, and then I can start trimming the edges. See, I put my light on the outside tonight because it's dusk again. Pretty much between like 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock, I just can't even be outside lately because it's freaking so hot. I mean, I can, but I choose not to. But I'm putting the light on the outside of the van to try and keep, you know, most of the bugs out. So I don't have the issue that I had the other day. Yeah, this stuff's like easy to work with. Okay, so I have giant fuse block here. And with the old van carpet, they actually like mounted this on top of the carpet, but I think I'm just gonna cut around it. Seems like, well, I mean, I guess it's just 3 bolts, but there's a whole lot of crap attached to it. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just gonna cut around it. But what I'll do is make an X on the top. Then I can try to be a little more up on it for better sound and heat insulation purposes. Okay. Surprisingly easy to bunch this around all the contours and stuff. I got these clippy-doos for the doghouse. If I can hook the pad into that, then it'll stay put for me while I trim. There we go. Obviously we don't want this stuff too close to the edge because engine right there, you know. See, I think this stuff's actually intended to be like the style of an old, like 60s or 70s car. Because it's from that Speedway Motors and it's made for people restoring old cars. Pretty sure this is like some sort of wool. But hey, that's awesome. I'll take it, you know. Alright. Don't gotta worry about any of the edges looking nice because they all get covered with trim. This is actually a pretty easy task, carpeting a van cab. Well, the pad anyway. Gotta be a little better with the carpet, but still most of the edges are covered. This is gonna make the van ride so much quieter. Also, with the headliner out, I do think I'm gonna add another layer of that Silas liner stuff up there. Because I have more, and I was gonna use it in other places and then figured out I really can't, so. Like in the door panels and stuff. Okay, I am going to just draw a Sharpie line underneath, flip it over and cut it that way. Oh yeah, see, I got all this extra now that I can use up top. Alright, I'm gonna get the other side to the same state of doneness and then move on to top things. Ooh, that's a battery, hot battery. And we have an aluminum carpet pad. Smart. I hope the camera picked that up. That's good content. Oh. Yeah, this is literally a main battery cable. It's on a 125 amp fuse, so I doubt that tripped anything. This little aluminum foil bit here. Significantly less extra on this side. Kind of had the pad pulled more over towards the passenger side. That's okay, because I still have plenty, more than enough. Oh yeah. Excellent. Sweet. Okay. Get these top bits here and then actual carpet. What I think I'll do I don't know what I'm doing, honestly. I'm gonna do this side first off. That seems more important to me. Not even gonna see that with the thing that I built for the, you know. It's not even gonna be seen. So I'll just go in with it like this and then put a second bit over there. Can't restrict the throttle cable pedal thing. Gotta be able to put my right foot down. I do have carpet tape and stuff that I could seam this all together with, or just duct tape, because that's what people actually use for carpet pad in the real world. In the real world. I mean, this ain't, well, it's subjective, you know. I'm gonna go get some duct tape. I might use the good stuff, you know. Gorilla. $10 a roll. That's all covered with plastic, so I'm not going to bother with that little corner right there. All right, we have carpet pad. Now we need carpet. The actual stuff that you see and touch and feel. Something for my cat to scratch up. If I let the cats in here with just this, it would be destroyed and I would have fuzzies everywhere immediately. All right, this crap, that's what I paid for it. Funny story, I shopped around lots of places looking for carpet for my van. And I went to a carpet place and I found these scraps. They were two like 4x6 rolls, just extra trimmings of some extremely luxurious, thick, plush, nice carpet. And it was the perfect color to match my van. My cab of my van. I'm just doing boring gray OE, match the cab colors in the cab. I decided, and of course I did consider going all out and making a wild, awesome color scheme, headliner with cats on it and everything, but then I decided to just make the cab look like a van. But I found these awesome, super awesome carpet scraps. I would have had to seam it because it was two 4x6 rolls. The dude was going to give them to me for free. And as we were walking out the door, his manager saw him. And was like, "Oh, where are you going with those? We can't sell those. Those are for samples." And the dude was like, "Are you sure? I mean, come on, this guy just needs for his RV." And he's like, wasn't having it. And then the poor guy was all bummed after that. He was like really trying to help me out, but he got caught. So I shopped around and I ended up with this crap. And it's just a 5x7 area rug that's actually pretty automotive-esque. It's like the same kind of material you would expect to see in a vehicle. And it's just a boring gray color that's gonna match everything perfectly. But one thing I wanted for sure, because I did look at lots of 5x7 area rugs, I wanted to make sure it did not have a rubber backing. I wanted just a regular backing that air and moisture can get through, so moisture doesn't get trapped under the carpet, which would be bad, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna go this way with it. That person's car alarm goes off every night, and at this point, if they really were getting jacked, nobody would even care, because, you know. It's like the boy who cried wolf. Okay, so I want it to go up the back just enough to catch with a piece of, I've got aluminum stair edge trim, the same stuff I used around my entryway. If you watched that video, it was like, I think, part 2 of this van build. Yeah, that other stuff would have really been, I was like really excited for it. It was super luxurious. And the guy was like, well, I can sell you some of this, but you have to get a 12-foot by 5 or whatever you need. He said it's $35 a yard. It'll be about $233 for this. It's like, yeah, free would have been nice, but actually was gonna give the guy 20 bucks cash, but yep, just that did not happen. Manager said no. All right, I'm gonna do a very similar thing as I did with the pad. This is bigger, so I don't have to worry about seaming pieces, but I'm going to poke the holes for the seats into it to hold it into position. Everything that goes under the seats it doesn't have to be super nice looking, because you'll never see it. Really, this center section is all you're really gonna see ever, because I am gonna get like a rubber floor mat thing for the driver's side where my feet are always gonna be, because I'll just be immediately trashing this carpet otherwise. I should probably find a new razor blade for this. It really has that new carpet smell too. Alright, next, get the other side of the DC to DC charger wires through here, which are going to come in right there. I'm going to get the other side to this state, and then we'll trim around the doghouse. What if I just carpet my engine, you know? Would the van be nice and quiet? I don't see any problem with doing that. I mean, back in the 70s, they put carpet on everything in vans, right? All up the walls. Okay, so I want to get the middle to look fairly good. I mean, the floor has so many frickin' contours that's never gonna happen, but yeah, there's so many like wires and things buried under this carpet. Not just from me, but like there's, you know, it was destined to always be lumpy. Cicadas are like hitting the side of the van like frickin' hail. They're being surprisingly quiet right now though. Alright, carpet the engine. Nice. Alright, what I'll have to do to make this work is just cut it up the middle, relieve the tension on it without cutting like my fuel line or something. There we go. There we go. Now I can sort of lay it out. I do have a carpet stretcher, but that would be overkill for this. Looks better already. All right. That's something. It ain't much, but it's something. You wouldn't even know there's like 8 megawatts of electricity running under this floor. Alright, I definitely need to trim these sides more because there's no way the kick panel trims are going to go on like this. Just right here I need to... Maybe I'll use the scissors. Well, I think I'll vacuum it and then try to put on all the trims. And then we'll do this piece and cut to that. Alright, this video quality is terrible because it's nighttime and it's dark and the lighting and stuff, but this turned out pretty good. Remember when I was over here and I was like, I need to trim this more or this trim will never... Yeah, that was a mistake. Oh well, everything else looking good. So this is the same stuff I put around the entryway. It totally got smashed in the move from my other shop to here, but the smashy part seems to be right at where I need to trim it, so that's cool. I'm gonna do that real quick and then install the DC to DC. 63.5. The bugs are like really bad right now. It's smashed right on where I need to cut it. think I might actually use the nails that it came with this time instead of screws, even though that's probably a bad idea. If they go in all the way, they're kind of long. We'll try one and see what happens. And this looks good. It's been bothering me for months that this little bit of the floor was unfinished. Oh yeah, they go in all the way. Good. Sweet. Man, this looks good. This looks like professionally done. A lot more so than if I got that other carpet. More like something you would expect to see in a vehicle or a boat or something. Pissing off the neighbor's chihuahua. Alright, DC to DC install is done. I had to go to O'Reilly and spend $7 on 2 terminals, 2 lugs, because I was all out of number 4 by 5/16. I'd have plenty of number 4 by 3/8, but I don't know. Do I have a tinge of OCD? Maybe. But I just like to know that I did as good of a job as I can with my battery cables. Also, Velcro doesn't seem to jive with this carpet, so I ended up, it's zip tied to the carpet. All around, both components are. But, you know, the idea here is just so it won't slide around, and I've achieved that. So now I can put my console thing back over all of this. I'm gonna go do the headliner now though. Alright, I'm over here by the trash cans and it's dusk. I sanded and grinded and smoothed out all the foam and then smeared some DAP on it. And you can go ahead and feel free to roast me in the comments for that. I'll take it. But hey, it works. But you have to use DAP, or like a cheap acrylic painter's caulk. It's got to be just the right viscosity. But I let it sit on my Buick hood in the sun all day, and now it's perfectly dry. I'm not expecting this to turn out super nice. And I have just the most boring, cheapest fleece throw blanket. It's like a silver color. Pretty sure it's big enough. I thought about getting like a super fuzzy faux fur looking kind of material, because that would be kind of cool, but I'm going pretty lame and boring with the cab here. So all I got to do is confirm it's big enough, which it is, and then we're going to spray on some headliner adhesive. Now with my Buick, when I did this, the headliner was falling off, and when that happens, what you do is you take a drill brush, like a regular drill brush, you know, like you'd clean stuff with, and go over the whole headliner to get the deteriorated loose like foam backing from the old fabric off. And I did that on this and it didn't come off, except for like where the headliner was coming off. And I went over the whole thing and it's good, so that's gonna stay. I'm just gonna spray glue right over it. Someday it probably will start to sag, but at that point I'll probably just redo my whole headliner with something a little more exciting or try to do a better job with it. But I'm pretty confident that this is gonna turn out decent. So this is what I'm using. I'm gonna use the rest of the can that I used to build that console with, and then I got a fresh one here. These are like $11.99 at Menards. They also sell them at O'Reilly and stuff. This is the stuff right here, man. Super sticky, easy to work with. Basically, gonna use all of it. And I tend to go a little heavy around the edges. You gotta kind of be quick. You have to wait a second after you spray it on for it to tack up. But basically, by the time I'm done spraying this on, I need to hurry up and throw that fabric on here. I had all kinds of crazy ideas for this headliner. This bulge right here, clearly there's like passenger or conversion vans that had something in there, whether that's like a climate control or a radio or some sort of buttons or switches or even just a sunglasses holder thing. A couple months ago, I was going to my local junkyards trying to find other Chevy vans to get accessories off of, and nope, something is going on with the economy, because the junkyards are pretty much all empty. Scrap was only like $140 a ton, so I don't know. But this also kind of plays into this and these sides, sort of all contributes to this headliner not really being the most ideal shape, as far as it's just a lot of wasted space, but that's okay. One benefit to this being a boring fabric with no pattern is that I don't have to try and make it look straight. I just got to get the wrinkles out, pretty much. You can buy actual headliner fabric at fabric stores that has that foam backing on it. I did my Buick with a fleece throw blanket from Cabela's that had like pine trees and bears on it, and it turned out frickin' awesome and like way more luxurious and plush than any stock OE style headliner fabric. So I decided that is the way to do it. Alright, I got wrinkles. And I'm not doing my visors. And they're totally not gonna match, but I don't care. Like, it's still gonna look good. I used to work for this guy. And when it came to talking about ceilings, he liked to say, only whores on their back are staring up at the ceiling. Skeeter in my face. All the geese are heading south for the winter. I'm not too far behind them. I don't want to flip it over on this filthy trash can. All right, now I'll just glue the edges to the back. And I'll trim the, excessively long sides. This front I won't trim because it's not super long at all. As long as it fits, As long as there's not so much bulk behind it that it doesn't sit right in the van. But you always want to fold the edges over. Don't cut them flat, because then they'll just eventually, start peeling. Yeah, look at that contour. It's much better. I mean, that's not great, but good enough for now, We're hitting the road. Also, the color of the visors and the dome light looks pretty silly with this silver headliner, but you know what? I like it. Got my seat belt back together, functional. All right, here's the old seat. And here's the new one. Look how well it matches the fridge. Today's September 27th, and I ordered this on August 11th. And it's from a company called Discount Van Truck out of Lake Havasu. This is called the Sedona, and I custom ordered it with these two boring colors so they would match everything in the cab perfectly. Their name is somewhat misleading because after shipping this was almost $1,000. I'm really impressed with the quality though. It came with this hardware and bracketry and stuff. I reused the seat base and the seat belt from my old seat, and this should fit perfectly. It's basically made for a Chevy van. The only reason this was even possible is because of my brother and his wife gifted me the money to buy this seat, and I'm extremely grateful to them for this. I'm gonna spend literally thousands of hours with my butt in this seat, and it's gonna make all the difference in the world. When I started road tripping years ago, I actually had a much nicer Buick than the one that I decided to use for my adventure vehicle, but there's a reason I picked that old car. It's comfy. It's like driving a couch. So to go from that to a stock Chevy van utilitarian, just really crappy seat, you know, that would be, in my book, roughing it. So I'm pretty spoiled, and huge thanks to my brother Mike, my older brother. I have two brothers. If you're one of the like 50 subscribers I had before I changed my channel's name to Van Life something or another, then you've seen him before in my videos. So I'm gonna put the seat base, the bracket and stuff from my old seat on this. I might clean it up and shoot it with some spray paint a little bit so it doesn't get rust on my new carpet. And then I'm gonna get this thing installed. I have brand new nuts to go on the bolts for the seat. They're M12 by 1.75, and I got torque nuts. Basically, they're like oblong at the top, kind of a style of locking nut. Huh. This seat is 1,000 times better than the stock one. Not only is it super comfortable, and looks better, but it fits better. The stock seat in this van was like this tall for no reason. I mean, I'm 5'9". I don't need a super high back bucket seat. And I mean, if you're driving like this, then it's time to park it, you know? I ended up modifying the bracket. There were 3 mounting holes, so you could move the seat left to right. And I had to kind of trim the stock van seat base to get it over 1 notch because it was kind of too close to the door. But now it's perfect. I got an armrest, seat belts, pretty much where I need it to be. I can recline it. This is like sweet. And it's got these skirts down here, so it kind of hides the seat base and all that crap. So yeah, this is like the crown jewel of the frickin' cab here. So yeah, I finally am using my tablet mount that I bought like 1.5 years ago. I have this is a Surface Pro 4, so it's like really old by today's standards, and actually in like 2 weeks or something, they're gonna quit giving updates for Windows 10, and this isn't eligible for Windows 11. It doesn't have the like right security chip in it, but I'm gonna keep using it because I have it, and you know, hopefully it's not just something to give people the incentive to break into my van. Hopefully between the alarm and the tint, that'll, you know, keep that from happening. But it fits perfect where I put it, and everything's like exactly how I imagined it over here, so couldn't be more happy with that. The last couple things to do up here, I have my suction cup GoPro mount on the windshield already. I need to clean the windshield and the whole van, it's filthy. But I have a phone mount, and I've got the other half of the RV leveling dealy-doo. Phone mount, let's see, it's got things and parts and stuff. Might have to read the instructions on this thing. This is kind of a like bulky old school design for a phone mount, but and my phone, it's a Galaxy S23 Ultra, but I have a case on it with a magnetic ring, you know, so it can magnet on the stuff like iPhones do. But I don't know, I bought this mount because I liked it. It's got suction cup or sticky do, and I think I'm going to use the sticky do part and just stick it onto my dash, and I want it to be over here. So what I got is isopropyl in a spray bottle, just to, you know, when you're sticking things onto stuff or whatever, that's the best thing to prep the surface with. And the RV leveler thing, it has a like 12 volt like cigarette lighter style plug on it, and I think I'll just plug it into there and kind of snake the wire whichever direction I want to go with it. So there used to be the U-Haul like fuel economy gauge thing over here, and when they installed that, they drilled a big stupid hole in the A-pillar trim, and I ended up using a washer and that same hole and put my like FU LED for my alarm right there. All right, next, RV Levely-Do. And again, thank you, Mary, for this. Super awesome. And one of my Patreon supporters told me about this and sent me the link to it, and then I put it in my Amazon wish list as a maybe thing, because it was about 80 bucks for this, I think. And I will let you know if it's good or not. That's cool. Look at that. It's just a little, I think I might just put it right in the middle, really. It's gonna have like a little pitch and roll thing. Like a cool old, like a, what are those, Land Rovers or something that has that on the dash already? Maybe some gimmicky Jeeps. I am not a Jeep guy. Old Jeeps are cool, but it's gotten way out of hand. All you Jeep people and your weird rubber duck fetish and stuff. It's no offense. Just lost like 5 subscribers. Oh, cool. It's got a on-off button right there. Neat. So I think I'll put that there and then actually go to the, well, it sticks out quite a bit, but I think I'll go this way with the wire. This gives you quite a bit of wire to route. So then we'll come back this way. This goes like that. And I think I'll go a little bit further back with it, like right there. Yeah. Pretty nice mount. It's got screw holes too if you want to tear up your vehicle and mount it good. We're gonna roll with the sticky tape for now. One thing about this seat is it is a little lower. And it's actually, I love that, because the old seat, I felt like it was just uncomfortable on my legs. This is way more closer to like how my Buick rides. So I am gonna love it. But at the same time, I am a short guy, so it's kind of like, you know, but yeah, no big deal. This van ain't like too big for me or nothing. I could actually even go like way back with the wire, but I think I'm gonna just, for now, kind of go around this piece of trim with it. So I'll spend some time getting that kind of set up. Let's see, just for fun. Give it some juice. Power. Oh, cool. I don't know if you can see that back there, but this is cool. So what you do is you calibrate it, and I'll have to do that when the van is actually level. It is not level at all in this driveway. That's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, so between all these things, I've got a pretty cool little cockpit here, which is kind of was my intent, you know. Get it more driver-centric. And the way I designed the console over here, there's plenty of room to just get up and get to the back. Get to the back and back into the front. So I can park it, get up, go back there, make myself a sandwich or whatever, see my cats, pick up whatever fell and jostled around as I was driving. And, you know, this is great. Okay, so I've been filming this video for over a week, and it's been a scramble to, I'm really trying to get this van build done. I'm trying to hit the road in a week from now, or a week from yesterday, actually. So like 6 days from now, I need to finish working on the van, pack the van with all my stuff, like clean the rest of my crap and sort it and put it all away, and like clean up my mom's house so I'm not leaving a mess for her, and get my cats in here, plural. More on that later. I'm currently dealing with a lot of cat drama at the moment too. I also have things I need to do, like go to the DMV because my plates expire in January, and I don't want to hit the road and then 2 months later have to figure out a way to get my plates, like, or my new stickers, like mailed to me somewhere. I have to go to my old job to return some things and stuff. I have to go hang out with my dad and like a few of my friends that I'm not gonna see again for a year or two, and just get all of this done within the next like few days, and then I can finally just get out of here. Also, it's been like, it gets nice and cool at night, like 50s, and then it's like almost 90 in the afternoon. So every day for the last week that I've been working on this van, between like 2 and 6 p.m. I take the cats inside and just take a nap, because you know, it's just a weird beginning of fall shoulder season, kind of funky ass weather around here. I am heading west to higher elevation. I'm at like 1,100 feet here where I live, so it's hot and humid, and you know, I ain't worried about the heat soon as I actually get the hell out of here, but for now it's been kind of a struggle. Just where I'm parked, after about 1 o'clock, the sun is just cooking my van. I have other places I could go, but I'm already struggling with the fact that I moved all of my tools and got rid of most of my tools, and like everything's such a mess right now that it's just been kind of a disorganized cluster. But I'm almost done, so close. In the next video today, I'm gonna start filming my next video. I'm heading to my friend Tom's shop. We're gonna get that roof rack installed, the winch. I have recovery boards and a ladder to mount to the van, and I am going to replace my battery cables up front under hood, upgrade them to 2 gauge, and I've got bus bars and a fuse and all kinds of upgrades for that. And then the only thing left to do is mount the Starlink dish and my cameras, and then this van build is done. So one more van build video for you guys, and then I'm hitting the road. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Thank you to my Patreon supporters and, you know, everybody. I really appreciate you guys. Stay tuned, and hope you have a great week, and I'll see you in the next video.